Have you ever found yourself in a situation where silence felt more powerful than words? What if I told you that knowing when to stay silent could transform not just your personal life, but your relationships, career, and even your peace of mind? In today's video, we'll dive into 9 powerful situations where Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, would urge you to remain silent. These are timeless lessons from Stoicism, designed to help you navigate life with wisdom, clarity, and strength. But before we jump in, make sure to subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll have insights that could completely change the way you communicate and even the way you love. So stick around till the end, because every situation we discuss builds on the last, forming a complete guide to mastering silence. Now, let's get started with a story. Imagine this: you're at a dinner party and a heated debate breaks out. Voices are raised, opinions are clashing, and you're tempted to jump in with your perspective. But then you recall something profound, a piece of wisdom whispered through the ages. It's Marcus Aurelius reminding you, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. In that moment, instead of speaking, you choose silence. And as you sit back and observe, you notice something remarkable. The noise subsides. People turn to you, not for your words, but for your calm presence. This is the power of silence, and today, we're going to explore 9 situations where silence isn't just golden, it's transformative. 1. When emotions are running high. Imagine this: you're in the middle of an argument with someone you love. Maybe it's your partner, your best friend, or even a family member. The words start flowing sharp, cutting, and defensive. You're both saying things you don't mean, but it feels like you have to say them just to prove a point. Now pause. How many of us have been in a situation like this, only to look back and wish we'd stayed silent instead? Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, would tell us that the first thing we need to master is ourselves. He believed that silence in the heat of an emotional storm isn't weakness, it's strength. One of his most famous teachings is, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This is where the magic of silence comes in. When emotions are running high, it's easy to lose control and say things we later regret. Silence gives you the space to breathe, to think, and to choose your response. Think about your own life for a moment. Have you ever said something in anger and later wished you could take it back? Maybe you hurt someone you love deeply, even though you didn't mean to. Those moments can leave scars not just on the other person, but on your relationship. Now imagine if, in that same heated moment, you chose silence instead. Instead of firing back, you take a deep breath. You step back mentally and let the wave of emotion pass. Silence becomes your shield, protecting not just your peace, but the bond you share with the other person. Here's the thing: silence doesn't mean you're ignoring the problem. It means you're giving yourself and the other person the gift of clarity. When you stay silent during an argument, you give yourself time to process your emotions and think about what really matters. Does winning this argument matter more than the relationship itself? Probably not. Marcus Aurelius would remind us, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. If someone lashes out at you in anger, don't stoop to their level. Your silence is not only a sign of strength, but also a way of breaking the cycle of negativity. Think about this in the context of love. Love isn't about being right. It's about being kind, understanding, and patient. The next time you're in an argument, try this. Pause, take a breath, stay silent. Watch how the energy shifts when you choose not to engage in the heat of the moment. And here's a question for you. Can you remember a time when staying silent saved a relationship, or when speaking in anger almost destroyed one? Let me know in the comments. Your story might inspire someone else to choose silence when it matters most. 2. When gossip is in the air. Picture this: you're at work or hanging out with friends, and someone brings up the latest gossip about someone you know. The temptation to join in is so strong. It feels like a chance to bond with the group, or to share something you've been dying to say. But let's pause for a second. What would Marcus Aurelius do? He would remind us that idle talk about others diminishes our own character. One of his teachings goes, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. This is where the power of silence becomes a moral compass. Now, let's make it personal. Think about a time when someone gossiped about you. How did it feel to know that people were talking behind your back, judging you or sharing half-truths about your life? It stings, doesn't it? And here's the thing, if you've been on the receiving end of gossip, you know how much damage it can do. When you choose silence in the face of gossip, you're doing more than protecting someone else's reputation. You're setting a higher standard for yourself. You're saying, I won't contribute to the negativity. And that's powerful. Marcus Aurelius believed in focusing on what truly matters. Gossip, in his view, was a waste of time and energy time. That could be spent improving yourself or helping others. But let's dig deeper. Why do we gossip in the first place? Sometimes it's boredom. Sometimes it's insecurity. And sometimes it's just an attempt to connect with others. But here's the catch. The connection you build through gossip is shallow and temporary. True connections are built on trust, respect, and authenticity, not tearing others down. So the next time you're in a group where gossip starts to fly, try this. Stay silent. Don't add fuel to the fire. And if you're feeling bold, gently steer the conversation towards something positive or meaningful. You'll be amazed at how much respect you earn by choosing silence over judgment. Here's a challenge for you. Think about the last time you were tempted to gossip. What would have happened if you'd chosen silence instead? Let's talk about it in the comments. 3. When you don't know enough? Have you ever been in a conversation where everyone seems to have an opinion, and you feel pressured to share yours, even if you're not sure what you're talking about? In situations like this, Marcus Aurelius would encourage you to embrace silence. He once wrote, if someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth. This humility, the willingness to admit what you don't know, is one of the hallmarks of wisdom. Let's make this relatable. Imagine you're at a dinner party, and someone brings up a complex topic, maybe politics, science, or philosophy. Everyone starts sharing their thoughts, and the conversation gets heated. You feel a little out of your depth, but you're tempted to chime in just to keep up. Now think about this. What if, instead of speaking, you chose silence? What if you listened deeply and allowed yourself to learn from others? Instead of trying to prove something, silence in these moments isn't a sign of ignorance. It's a sign of strength. It shows that you value truth over ego, and that you're willing to admit there's always more to learn. Here's a story to bring this to life. A young man once asked a wise mentor, how do I become as knowledgeable as you? The mentor replied, by speaking less and listening more. The truth is, when you're silent, you absorb more. You notice things you might have missed while trying to prepare your next argument. So, the next time you find yourself in a conversation where you don't know enough, try this. Take a step back. Listen with curiosity. And if someone asks for your opinion, don't be afraid to say, I'm not sure. I'd like to learn more about that. It's a response that earns respect because it's honest and humble. Let me ask you this. Have you ever spoken up about something you didn't fully understand, only to realize later you were wrong? How would the situation have changed if you'd chosen silence instead? Share your thoughts in the comments. Remember, in the pursuit of truth, silence is often the first step. 4. When others seek validation, not truth. Let's set the scene. You're sitting across from someone you care about deeply, maybe a friend, a partner, or a family member. They're passionately arguing their point about something, but deep down, you sense that their goal isn't to understand or learn. They just want to be right. Have you ever been in this situation? It's frustrating, isn't it? You might feel tempted to jump in to prove them wrong, to show them the flaw in their argument. But let's pause for a moment. What would Marcus Aurelius say? The great Stoic philosopher believed in the futility of engaging with people who aren't ready to listen. He once said, Don't waste time worrying about what other people think of you. And in moments like these, his wisdom reminds us that silence can be more powerful than any counter-argument. Think about this in the context of love. Have you ever had a disagreement with your partner where you knew they weren't really hearing you? Maybe they just wanted to be validated or to feel like they won. In those moments, trying to argue back only adds fuel to the fire. But what if you chose silence instead? Imagine this. Your partner is venting about something, maybe even blaming you for something that wasn't entirely your fault. Instead of defending yourself or proving them wrong, you stay silent. You let them speak, let them express their emotions. What happens next? Often the tension eases. They feel heard and the energy shifts. This is the power of silence in relationships. It's not about ignoring the other person. It's about giving them the space to be heard, without feeling the need to defend your own ego. Here's something to try. The next time you're in a heated conversation, ask yourself, is this about seeking truth, or is it about validation? If it's the latter, step back, stay silent, and watch how the dynamic changes. And now, let's make it personal. Can you recall a time when staying silent during an argument helped de-escalate the situation? Or maybe a time when arguing back only made things worse? Let me know in the comments. Your stories inspire more people than you realize. 5. When criticized unfairly. Picture this. You've worked hard on something, maybe a project at work, a creative piece, or even a gesture of love for someone special. But instead of appreciation, you're met with criticism. And not just any criticism, unfair, baseless criticism. What's your first instinct? For many of us, it's to defend ourselves, to explain why the criticism is wrong, why we're right, and why the other person doesn't understand. But Marcus Aurelius would urge you to do something different. He once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." This is a profound reminder that we don't have to internalize every opinion that comes our way. Now, let's bring this to life with a story. Imagine you've 5. When criticized unfairly. Let's imagine this together. You've spent weeks planning something special for someone you love. Maybe it's their birthday or an anniversary. You've gone all-out decorations. Their favorite food, maybe even a handwritten note. You're excited to see their reactions. But instead of joy, you're met with unexpected criticism. Why did you pick this color for the balloons? Or the food is a little cold. Suddenly, your excitement is replaced by disappointment and frustration. Can you feel that sting? We've all been there, haven't we? Criticism, especially when it's unfair, can hurt deeply. Our first instinct is often to defend ourselves, to explain how much effort we put in, to prove why the criticism is unwarranted. But Marcus Aurelius would urge us to take a different path. He once said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." This simple truth reminds us that we don't need to let others' words dictate our emotions or our worth. Now, let's bring this closer to home. Think of a time when someone you cared about criticized you unfairly. Maybe it was your partner pointing out something trivial during a heartfelt moment. Did you react defensively? Did it lead to an argument or a cold silence that lasted for hours? What if, in that moment, you had chosen not to respond? Not because their words didn't hurt, but because you recognized that defending yourself wasn't necessary. Silence in the face of unfair criticism is a powerful response. It shows self-confidence and emotional maturity. Marcus Aurelius believed that unfair criticism often reveals more about the critic than it does about you. When someone lashes out or nitpicks, it's often because they're projecting their own insecurities or frustrations. By staying silent, you refuse to fuel their negativity. Here's the beauty of this approach. Over time, your silence can lead to reflection. When someone criticizes unfairly and you don't react, they're left with their own words. They may start to realize that their comments were unkind or unnecessary. Well, let me ask you this. Can you recall a time when staying silent during unfair criticism helped you avoid a fight or preserve your peace? Or perhaps a moment when reacting impulsively made things worse? Share your story in the comments. It's incredible how much we can learn from each other's experiences. So, the next time someone you love criticizes you unfairly, take a breath, pause, remember Marcus Aurelius' wisdom. Your silence is not just a response. It's a statement that says, I know my worth and I don't need to defend it. 6. When someone shares their pain. Picture this. You're sitting across from someone you deeply care about. Their voice is shaking, their eyes are glistening with tears. They're opening up to you about something that's been weighing on their heart. Maybe it's a heartbreak, a failure, or a fear they've been carrying alone. What do? If you're like most people, your first instinct is to jump in. You want to fix things, to offer advice, to make their pain go away. But here's the truth. In moments like these, what people need most isn't your words, it's your silence. Marcus Aurelius would remind us of the value of presence. He believed in practicing empathy and understanding without judgment. He once wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." This means allowing others to express their emotions fully, without trying to control or fix them. Let's take a moment to reflect on your own experiences. Have you ever been in a vulnerable place, opening up to someone you trusted, only to have them interrupt you with advice? It might have been well-meaning, but did it leave you feeling heard? Probably not. Sometimes when we share our pain, we're not looking for solutions, we're looking for someone to simply be there. Now, think about someone in your life who shared their struggles with you recently. Maybe it was a friend going through a tough breakup or a partner dealing with stress at work. How did you respond? Did you offer advice immediately, or did you give them the space to feel? Here's a story to bring this to life. Imagine a couple. Sarah and Ben. Sarah comes home after a hard day, frustrated and exhausted. She starts venting about her boss, her workload, and how overwhelmed she feels. Ben's instinct is to jump in. Why don't you just talk to your boss? Maybe you should look for another job. But Sarah doesn't want solutions, she just wants to be heard. What if Ben had stayed silent instead? What if he'd simply said, "I'm here for you," and let her express her emotions? That silence, that presence, could have been exactly what Sarah needed to feel supported. The next time someone shares their pain with you, try this. Pause, stay silent. Resist the urge to fix. Your silence isn't passive, it's an act of love, of saying, "I'm here with you in this moment." And now, let me ask you, have you ever had someone's silent presence make you feel truly seen and supported? Or a time when their words, no matter how kind, didn't help? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story could inspire someone else to practice the gift of silence in their relationships. 7. When silence speaks louder than words. There are moments in life when words aren't enough. Imagine this. You've had a falling out with someone you love, your partner, your best friend, maybe even a sibling. The argument is over, but the air between you is still heavy with unspoken tension. You're tempted to speak, to explain, to apologize, or maybe to defend yourself one last time. But something holds you back. Instead of speaking, you sit together in silence. Marcus Aurelius believed that silence can be a profound form of communication. He once said, "Silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings." There are times when words only add noise, when silence can convey emotions more powerfully than speech ever could. Think about your own life. Have you ever shared a moment of silence with someone you love that felt more meaningful than any conversation? Maybe it was sitting together after a fight, or simply watching a sunset without saying a word. Those moments of shared silence often create a deeper connection than words ever could. Let's explore this in the context of love. Imagine you've had a misunderstanding with your partner. You're both hurt, both trying to process what happened. Instead of hashing it out immediately, you choose to sit together in silence. You reach for their hand, and in that moment, your touch says what words cannot. I'm still here. I still care. Silence in moments like these isn't avoidance, it's understanding. It's a way of giving each other the space to feel, to heal, and to reconnect without the pressure of finding the right words. Here's something to try. The next time you're in a situation, where words feel inadequate, embrace the silence. Let it speak for you. Whether it's holding someone's hand during a tough time or simply sitting quietly together, you'll find that silence often says more than we realize. Now, let me ask you, can you recall a time when silence brought you closer to someone you love? Or a moment when speaking too soon might have pushed them away? Let's talk about it in the comments. Sometimes, the most powerful connections happen in the quiet moments. Silence, when chosen with intention, becomes a language of its own, a language of love, respect, and understanding. So, the next time you find yourself at a loss for words, remember, silence may be all you need. 8. When words will only escalate conflict. Let's set the stage. You're in the middle of an argument with someone you care about. The tension is high, voices are raised, and emotions are running wild. Maybe it's your partner frustrated about a decision you made, or a close friend upset over something you said. In that heated moment, what's your instinct? For many of us, it's to keep talking, to explain, to justify, to defend ourselves. But think back to a time when you've done that. Did it help? Or did it only make things worse? Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, would tell us this: you always have the option of having no opinion. There's never a need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control. In the context of a heated argument, this translates to choosing silence when words will only escalate the conflict. Now, let's tie this to your love story. Imagine a couple, Daniel and Sophia. They've been together for a few years, and like any couple, they've had their share of disagreements. One evening, Sophia is upset because Daniel forgot about an important dinner plan. She's frustrated and begins to vent. Daniel, feeling defensive, starts explaining why he forgot, but the more he talks, the angrier Sophia becomes. His justifications sound like excuses, and her emotions continue to spiral. Now imagine if Daniel had chosen a different approach. What if, instead of defending himself, he had paused, stayed silent, and let Sophia express her feelings? Silence in this scenario isn't about ignoring the other person, it's about creating space. When emotions are high, silence allows the other person to feel heard and understood. It also prevents you from saying something in the heat of the moment that you might regret later. Let me ask you, can you remember a time when a simple pause or moment of silence helped diffuse an argument in your life? Or a time when speaking too much only made things worse? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear how silence has played a role in your relationships. The truth is, in love, arguments are inevitable, but how we handle them can make or break the connection. Silence, when chosen with care, can be a powerful tool for de-escalating conflict and preserving harmony. So the next time you're in the middle of a heated disagreement, take a breath, pause, ask yourself, will my words help this situation, or will they only make it worse? Often the best thing you can do is to say nothing at all. 9. When you're unsure of the right words to say. Imagine this: you're sitting across from someone you love, your partner, a dear friend, or a family member. They've just shared something vulnerable with you. Maybe it's a mistake they made, a fear they're grappling with, or even a dream they're afraid to pursue. You want to respond, but your mind is blank. You're unsure of the right words to say. What do? For many of us, the silence in these moments feels uncomfortable. We think, I need to say something or they'll feel unsupported. But Marcus Aurelius teaches us something profound here. He believed in the power of reflection, in pausing to ensure that our words align with our intentions. He once wrote, "Control your emotions. Reflect before you act." In the context of relationships, this means that when we're unsure of what to say, it's better to stay silent than to speak impulsively. Silence gives us the space to process, to think deeply, and to respond with sincerity. Let me take you into a story. Imagine a young couple, Mia and Alex. Mia confesses to Alex that she's been feeling insecure about their relationship, not because of anything Alex has done, but because of her own fears and past experiences. Alex listens, but he doesn't know what to say. Should he reassure her? Offer advice? Instead of rushing to fill the silence, Alex chooses to sit with it. He reaches out, takes Mia's hand, and says, "I'm here." That simple gesture, paired with the silence, speaks volumes. It shows Mia that Alex is present, that he cares, and that he's willing to hold space for her emotions. This is the power of silence when you're unsure of the right words to say. It allows you to connect on a deeper level, without the risk of saying something that might come across as dismissive or insincere. Let me ask you this: have you ever found yourself in a situation where silence felt more meaningful than words? Or a moment when speaking too soon might have done more harm than good? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you navigate these moments in your own relationships. The truth is, silence isn't a lack of communication, it's a different form of it. When chosen with intention, silence can convey love, understanding, and respect in a way that words often cannot. So, the next time you're faced with a vulnerable moment and unsure of what to say, don't rush. Embrace the silence. Let it create a space for connection, reflection, and understanding. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Let's circle back to that dinner party. The debate continues, but you remain calm, silent, and observant. Slowly, the room begins to notice your presence, not because you're the loudest voice, but because your silence speaks volumes. That's the essence of Marcus Aurelius's wisdom. In the right moments, silence is not the absence of communication, it's the highest form of it. So, as you go about your life, remember these 9 situations. Practice the art of silence. And you'll not only avoid unnecessary conflict, but also gain respect, peace, and clarity. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.